Hey, what's going on, guys? Today I thought it'd be fun to compare my Mark VI to the first saxophone I ever played, which is a 1970s Student Buescher Aristocrat. This was my dad's instrument. It's a very well-built instrument, but this would have been considered a student or intermediate saxophone at the time, even though the Buescher Aristocrat model name was, for a long time, a professional instrument. They started making these student horns with that name in the 70s, and later on pretty much the same design and build would be called a Bundy. I want to play that and do some comparisons with this audio to my 1950s. This is a 59,000 serial number Mark VI that I've been playing for almost a decade now, and I got it for about half the price of what Mark VIs tend to go for now. I'm very glad I got this instrument when I did. And this is the horn I play every day. For both instruments, I'm going to play the same mouthpiece, reed, and ligature. I'm just going to move this whole unit to the other instruments so nothing changes. This is a Ted Klum London Precision. I think it's an 8, a 3.5 Hemke reed, and just kind of a regular ligature. I don't know if this one has any kind of name. Ultimately, I feel that the Buescher does have a little bit less projection, a little bit of a closed off sound because of just a few of the upper partials being a little bit more subdued, and also the ergonomics are just, things feel like they have to travel a lot farther. So although I don't find the sound of it to be bad, it is a slightly darker, more closed off sound, and not as ergonomically easy to play. So just some general thoughts about playing a student model instrument versus a professional instrument. If for financial reasons, or if your instrument's in the shop and you have to play a student instrument, as long as it's a well-made instrument, like this is a 1970s, this is a 50-year-old student instrument, and they built things better back then. There was no cheap saxophones. This was made in the United States. It wasn't made in a factory of nameless instruments in China. And the important thing about the sound of an instrument, it really comes from primarily yourself, what you're doing with the resonant chamber where this reed is vibrating. It's the reed vibrating against the mouthpiece inside your mouth. That's where the sound, 90% of the sound of the instrument comes from. Forgot to mention when I was filming, but if you want to work on your sound, check out my tone video linked in the description or here. This thing that modifies the pitch and the timbre of the sound, the saxophone, it's very important. It needs to be well maintained. It needs to be well built. But if it's well maintained and well built, the difference between a less expensive instrument, like I've even played some of the more recent student Yamahas and student Jupiter. They're really fantastic instruments. They're well made and they're well built, and they're not cheap anymore. I think my first saxophone was about $800. I don't think you can get a brand new student Yamaha for that price anymore. But the only thing I would say staying away from is instruments that are worth $500 and less. That's kind of the cutoff point where you can get a really great used Yamaha or vintage student instrument like this in a price range of $500 to $1,000. It's going to last a long time and play really well for what it is. But if you go too low to that like $300 like Mendini alto saxophone or nameless Chinese brand on Amazon kind of saxophone, they won't hold up mechanically and probably the intonation. I recently had an experience where a student went from a kind of Amazon type of saxophone to a used Yamaha student instrument, and overnight all of his squeaks were gone and his intonation got better. Even though I had play tested his really cheap saxophone and said, you know, there's really nothing wrong with it, but I'm overcoming a lot of problems with the instrument because of my experience and my skill level. Whereas if you're just starting out, those things could really hold you back. So you want an instrument that's not going to hold you back, but that doesn't have to be, you know, a $9,000 Mark VI. Go ahead and leave any comments. Let me know your thoughts on playing student instruments, or you know, what experience you had upgrading your saxophone. And make sure to like and subscribe if you'd like to see more videos. Till next time.